Hey guys, welcome back to another devlog for Trials of Yarble. So this week we've been working on getting the game ready for a playtest that's going to be coming out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Check the link in the description for the Steam, and you can actually become part of that playtest. So pretty cool. So I worked on a few levels. I'm not going to show those because if you end up playtesting, it's a little treat for you. You can see what that's like. I updated the pause menu a bit. I had this little band at the top. I had a little controls menu. That's pretty cool. And then yeah, I just kind of been working on the levels. Um, that's pretty much it so far. But what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna give you guys a little technical review of the how we save and load stuff in the game. So we're gonna jump into that right now. Alright, so we're here in our serialized file, which basically handles everything for saving and loading the game data. And the way the game is split up is we have. I'm gonna open up Paint for this. Alright, so the way this works is we have game data, and we have a level. And these are two different things we save in a file, right? In this case, we're storing it in a JSON file for both. So we're using JSON, right? My boy Jason. And so we got our level stored and a game data stored. Game data is like your save, like your level save. Not your level save, but like which level you're on. If you close the game, it's gonna like open up based on whatever the game data is. It stores like your health, what items you have, that kind of thing. The level data that stores essentially all the information it needs to kind of create a level. So for each level, like you'll see in this level, that is all one JSON file. Kind of the walls, the text, uh, the ground, the portal, the enemy, where I spawn, right? All these things are in the JSON. And we actually just kind of split these things up in the level. So we actually have a tile map. This is bad. Okay. So we have a tile map. Not a JSON. We actually have a tile map PNG. And then we have a tutorial.json. And the tutorial.json is for displaying the little prompts you see on the tutorial levels. And that's just separated from what we usually have. And then here, or the tilemap.png, is essentially an image file. We can open that up. You'll see these are just the like kind of like an image file of what tiles go where. It's just raw colors, and then those get transformed into a tile on the screen. So yeah, that's how it works. And we can even see if we go into level editor, we have different modes. Alright, let me go to the level editor. Oop, there we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we have the level editor where we can now edit the tile map. We have, I don't want to undo that. We can add new shapes, and these are kind of new shapes. And then whenever we whenever we close the game, it's going to save that data. And we're going to see it's edited this tile map. It's kind of added that stuff in there. It's edited this level 1. Let's see, it's added a new wall. And yeah, that's kind of how it works. So in the actual code, this is what it looks like. We have a struct, something to store all our data for the level, and then we have different ways. Yeah, and then up here we have the game data, which just stores another struct with the player data, right? And whenever we close the game, it's gonna get the player data from the player. So the player has a bunch of other things that don't need to be saved, like whether the player is jumping or not, or dashing, because those are gonna be reset whenever the game loads, no matter what. But yeah, essentially we load the JSON file, right? We load that in um, into another file, and then we get that data, and then we set up our world like that. And that's all the code there to set up the world. So if you have your own project and you're trying to get this set up, it's kind of the way you do it. At least this is the way I do it, and it works well for me. You kind of save all your data into a JSON file. You save what you need. You don't need to save everything. Like here, um, I'm actually only saving the enemy data, not these enemies. And so there's kind of, I don't save all the data that the enemies have because I only need a few things like this. This is all I really need. I don't need to know if the enemy is firing their weapon or anything like that, because that's just temporary data. So you load all the data and you set that equal to, yeah, you get that data, and then what we're doing here is we're just taking, we have a world that we're kind of copying the data over from the level to the world. It's a little confusing how the system works. That's how I have it set up. I kind of separate the save because we only need to save a certain amount of data, but when the game is running, we need to kind of keep some of that temporary data there, right? So that's what this is all. That's what that's all about. We kind of load in the data, and then for saving the data, it's pretty simple. We get the data from whatever level we're editing. So just like that, we clear any data we don't need. Um, we add any data we want. We kind of just clean up the data before we save. That's kind of what all this is, just cleaning up the data before we save. Saving the tile map, and then that's pretty much it. And then we also have something to unload, make sure we clean out our memory, and that's how it works. Everything else is pretty simple. The game data is pretty simple. You just kind of load it up, set up the player. And yeah, this system works really well. So if you're working with no engine on your own, this is kind of how you do it. This is kind of how you set up your own saving and loading. It might seem scary at first, but it's pretty simple. So yeah, that is all for the technical devlog today. Let me know, give me some feedback on this if it's interesting, if you guys care about this, um, if you found it useful, if you found it boring, right? I'm just trying something new out. Give me some feedback. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Bye.